And we're saved. Hey everybody, Backpack Hack here, coming at you with another trail tip. And I'm going to show you how I research a trip that I'm going to take this summer. Now, depending on what you're going to be doing, your research is going to be a little bit different than mine. But I'm going to show you how I research campsites and places to see and places to go and things to see and things to do, because those are the things I enjoy. Obviously, if you have different ideas about what makes fun, that's fine. You're going to have to change your research. But hopefully I'm going to give you a couple tips in this video about researching campsites, because I like the free ones. I'm a cheap bastard, and that way I can spend my money on other things that I feel a little bit more appropriate to spend my money on. There's nothing wrong with free campsites. I don't stay on them, or I don't stay at free campsites exclusively, but I try to stay at them whenever I can, especially if it's just an overnight stop. I'm going from point A to point B and it's going to take me at least 2 days. I'm going to have to stop somewhere for the night. I don't see any reason to spend $150, $200 on a hotel room just to spend the night and get up the next morning and head on down the road. Yeah, I'll stay in a hotel if the weather's really bad, or if I've been out boondocking for so long and haven't had a chance to shower that I'm not too proud to stay in a hotel for a night. But if I can stay in a free campground somewhere, all the better. So I'm going to show you how I do this. It's going to be kind of a lengthy video, so bear with me. And when we get to the end, hopefully you've picked up a few tips on how to plan your trip and make it more successful and more enjoyable. So I'm going to bring you into a screen capture here, and let's get started, shall we? Hang on just a second. Here we go. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up 5 tabs in my browser. One of them will be freecampsites.net, campendium.com. I will open up a tab for Google Maps, a website called caltopo.com, and then a general Google search. Now, don't worry about writing all these down, because I'll put a link to them in the description, so you can just go right to them. To backtrack here, I use Google search just to research something that I may have found in my planning here. I've come across something that I didn't know was there, and I decided that I would research it a little bit further. That's just kind of a catch-all tab to just research whatever I might find. CalTopo is a free online topographical map service website that has topographical maps that you can go to. Google Maps, obviously I'll use that for Google Maps and satellite view and to find photographs as well. Campendium.com and freecampsites.net are 2 very wonderful websites that help me find free boondocking and off the road and out of the way campsites, which is what I prefer. I don't like to stay at like KOAs and things like that unless I have to. I'm not limiting myself to the oddball, real out-of-the-way places, but these 2 sites help me find those when I want to find them. I can easily go to Google Maps and just type in campgrounds and find places like this right here, which is an actual organized campground. It's run as a business. Somebody owns it, somebody collects it, somebody maintains it, and that's their job. So they have a vested interest in having it show up on Google search results and being posted here on the map. However, the campsite I am staying at is this one right here, which doesn't show up on the map, but does show up on Campendium. One of the 2 I found it, and I won't get into it. But let's say I've stayed at this campsite, or at least I'm planning on staying at this campsite, and my plan is to head to, let's say, Arches National Park or Monument, whatever it is, Arches National Park. So I'm going to zoom into northeast Utah and find Arches National Park, and let's see what pops up. Now, you get all these different icons and they're different colors here on freecampsites.net. Pretty obvious. The green ones are free campsites, the red ones are pay, and the blue ones are permit. Now, obviously, I'm a cheap bastard, so I want to stay in the free campsites. I want to go research, I want to explore Arches National Park for a while. So I'm going to spend some time there. I might spend 2 or 3 nights here. Well, here's one right near the entrance, so let's see what that is. Gemini Bridges campsites number 1 through 5. That sounds interesting. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to take me to this, and it's going to show it to me up here on the map. This is a free campsite, Gemini's Bridges Road. Here's GPS coordinates, get directions. This is a 4x4 there. Okay, some general information. It has a fire ring, biking, working, wildlife. Okay, oh great, wonderful. Here's several photographs of it. So that's going to really help me in my research. As I'm reading through this, the road from Highway 191 is an intimidating high-clearance road that only rugged vehicles should try to traverse. So if you were traveling in a 30-foot mobile home, or motorhome I should say, you may not want to attempt this. And as I scroll down here, let's be clear, this is a Jeep trail, okay? There is no way to turn around once you get into it, and if you screw up, it's going to be over 1,000-foot drop to the canyon below. I attempted this in my Kia Soul, even though they said it was a high-clearance road. What it doesn't say is the road is full of embedded boulders. Yeah, okay. Dirty and long, even for a 4x4. We lost a tire. It's not RV friendly. Okay, that definitely, if you were traveling in a motor home, you definitely wouldn't want to stay there. If you're pulling a 30-foot travel trailer, definitely not your cup of tea. But that's right up my alley, because I drive a 4x4 pickup with a small trailer. I don't think I'd have any problem. So I'm going to copy this information right here. Control C, and then I'm going to call up a notepad file that I'm going to open, and I'm going to Gemini's Bridges campsites. And this is why I use Notepad, is because it eliminates the formatting associated with any text that I copy off of the website, so I don't get all different fonts and colors and sizes. Yes, I could go through at the end and just choose all and reformat them all into one common font, color, and size, but this does it up front, so I don't have to do it at the very end. So I'm going to copy now the GPS coordinates, and I'm going to go to Google Maps, and I'm going to punch those in and see what comes up. Well, obviously it looks like there's some campsites here. So let's go to the satellite view and see what comes up. Yep, I'm seeing some what looks like campsites off of this road. Looks like there's a campsite there, a campsite there, a campsite there, campsite there, and a campsite clear over here. Looks like a wonderful place to stay. Now, the reason I use GPS coordinates, because this place probably doesn't have an address. There's probably no address associated with that location. Another thing I have found is sometimes GPS coordinates are incorrect. And somebody may have put this coordinate in, and when I Google those coordinates, I end up here, and I'm zooming in, and it's like, I'm not seeing any campsites. But this one did a pretty good job of putting me right on track of where these campsites are. So I'm going to, now that I have the campsites in Google Maps, I'm going to see if anybody has posted any photographs of it. Nope, not seeing any photographs of it. Well, do we have any photographs that somebody might have taken along the route to this location? I'm just going to scroll up and follow this road up and see if anybody has posted any pictures. Well, here's one. Here's a picture that somebody posted. So here you can see the highway down below, and it's a panoramic, so I can pan around, and I've got a very good idea of what this road looks like. I mean, you can't get any better research than this. I mean, yeah, it's not a very good panoramic because people's legs are cut off, but you get a wonderful idea, a sense of the terrain that you're going to be viewing. You can see that obviously heavy rains might be an issue with washouts and things, but when you look here, and I can zoom in, it's like you can see it's going to be a kind of a rough road. So Here's a picture that somebody took. So, like, again, it gives you just an idea of what you can to expect to see and expect to experience on your way to here, even though there's no photographs on Google Maps. But I do have a lot of good pictures here that I can look at that people have taken and uploaded. Of course, there's looks like from the same place as we were looking at before, a nearby place. Ah, yes, here's a really good image that shows you the road that's going back there. So it's obviously not for the faint of heart. Yes, definitely this is not an RV trail. You would definitely not want to take an RV there. But a high clearance 4x4. Hey, somebody even posted a map of how to get from one point to the other. Maybe they're saying this is a good trip to take. But here's a view of the campsites, it looks like. These could probably be views from the campsites themselves. Wouldn't that be a wonderful place? How would you like to wake up in the morning and see these spires and the red rocks? How would you like to watch a sunset in such a setting? You know, look at this. Look how high above the nearby road that you are. And of course you can see it's gravel here. And this looks like another shot of the same place. Could be, may not be, but gives you a very good idea of what to expect to go here. Oh, great. Here's a picture of the camping regulations. So this tells me that I can't go find my own firewood. I have to bring it in. I have to have a portable toilet system. But can you imagine waking up in the morning and having the sunrise on those rocks and looking at your cup of coffee while you're watching that? Okay, we've gone through the pictures. Scroll on down, and here's people who have stayed there. I would not stay there again. For RVs and regular vehicles, I recommend trying south of town at Yellow Circle Road. This is a great site. See my review and pictures there. We lost a tire, not RV friendly. So I just don't understand these negative reviews. I mean, I just don't get that. Are you saying I don't like the review because it's telling me to stay away because I have I stayed here in a 24-foot long Class C RV. I would not stay here again. Well, maybe he wouldn't stay there because he wouldn't want to take his RV down there. That doesn't mean it's a thumbs down review. I mean, good heavens, they're trying to warn you that if you have a big RV, to stay away. It is not. So I'm going to put this in my notepad, and I'm going to put those coordinates in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to backtrack to Google Maps. So this is where I stayed at the night before. So now I'm going to get directions from here to where I'm going. And it tells me that it is 2 hours and 56 minutes by this way, 3 hours and 12 minutes this way, and 4 hours and 20 minutes going this way. Now it's a research of which path do I want to take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to close this because that's what it takes to get the pictures up, and I'm going to just see what there is along the way. You know, do I want to go see this? 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 Well, what is this? Church Rock. Well, that looks interesting. Maybe I'll want to stop by and do that. So I'm going to make that my route. Let's say I'm going to make that my route. So I'm going to take 3 hours and 12 minutes and 126 miles. And I'm going to record that. Now I've got my route planned. Let's do a little bit more research. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be staying somewhere in here. So where's the nearest town? Well, looks like right here. I'm going to zoom in, and looks like a pretty good size. I mean, it's not a huge metropolis, but looks like it's a decent sized town. So since I'm going to be staying somewhere near here for the night, I'm going to want to find local resources that might be useful to me. So I'm going to start down here, and I'm going to come in to the entrance into town, and I'm going to start looking for interesting things. Old Spanish Trail Arena. I don't need equipment sales. Condo rentals I don't need. Mini storage I don't need. But what I'm looking for, well, here's an RV park. Maybe if I need to. Maybe if I need to, I can stay there. So I'm gonna copy this into my, and I'm also going to click on the map itself to get GPS coordinates. When you click on Google Maps, you're given Google or GPS coordinates, and I'm going to click on that down here, so it will bring it up to here, and I can copy it and paste it down here. The reason I use GPS coordinates exclusively is because of some of the boondocking places I go to don't have street addresses. The other reason is sometimes GPS units, when you punch in a street address, puts you a half a mile or a mile or even 2 or 3 miles off course. So by using GPS coordinates, you're pretty much guaranteed more accurate, not pretty much guaranteed, but you have a better chance of getting to where you want to go. So let's continue researching this town to see what there is. Moab Ice. Here's another campground. Oh, that's a canine campground. I'm sorry. That's a dog park. I just saw a campground. Not interested in rafting, canoes. Hey, if you're looking for something to do, here's rafting and here's canoes. Is this a tow truck company? Yes. Here's a towing business. So that is a resource that I am going to get a hold of. I may need. So I'm going to at least copy that information down. So if I'm in that area and I need a tow truck, I at least have a number to call right off the bat. River expeditions. Hey, if you're into whitewater rafting or canoeing or something like that, kayaking, search for things like this. If things that are popping up here that you see on the map interest you, motorsports, that might be off-road motorcycles. Yeah, you might want to put that on your list. Here's another campground, it looks like. But I'm also looking for services, places that I might need to go to during my stay. Here's Shopco. Shopco, if you've never heard of it, it's kind of like Target and Kmart. So I'm going to put that down. That might be a place to I guess I didn't get the GPS coordinates for the tow truck company, but where was Shopco? Okay, it's right there. So I'm going to zoom in here and find out where you pull into Shopco, and I'm going to get the GPS coordinates for Shopco and get that in there and punch this in here. And I'm going to continue to do this for various places that I find. What I'm really looking at, hey, here's a hospital. That would be very good to know where there's a hospital. I may not need an ambulance, but I may need to do a walk-in. You know, let's say I cut myself very, very bad. So I'm going to copy all this information down. I'm going to copy the phone number and the address. And I'm going to go back in and I'm going to get the GPS for it. Looks like I'm just going to shoot for here. Copy that over to my notepad. And I'm going to continue to do this for all sorts of resources, possibly things that, you know, here's a diner, hotel, off-road adventures, adventure center. Looks like they cater a lot to the people who like to go out and do adventurous things in the backcountry. Here's a steakhouse. You know, things like this. I might copy what information. Global wines pair with beef, chop house fare. Yeah, if I'm hungry, if I get to this area and I'm hungry for steak, yeah, I'll have that information. I'll put that information here on my list. And when I get done, I'll have a list of grocery stores, doctor's offices, restaurants, hotels, campgrounds, anything else that I can find. The Moab Rock Shop, that's probably, yep, it's a place where you can go in. And if I want to, I will open up that page and visit their website at least to see if it's something that I want to research a little bit farther. Now, going back to the Church Rock, obviously I can go to Church Rock and see what's the story with this Church Rock. Why is it called Church Rock? Where did it get its name? Can you take a tour of it, or can you climb to the top of it, or, you know, what is the story on it? Well, there's another photograph of it, so I can research that. Now, with the GPS coordinates, I'll close that one window, and it tells me that I'm going to be, obviously, this backs up what we saw in the photographs. Is you can see I'm in a very steep walled canyon. And it gives me an idea here with the road coming in. It looks like it follows a wash. So I may get there and not find that it's passable because of recent rains maybe has washed the road out or is still impassable by the rains. So since I've done that, I'm going to go over here to Campendium and do the same thing and see what crops up and perform the same research there. Zoom in a little bit. And is this the same one that, I think this is going to be the same one I was just at. Yeah, Lower Gemini Bridges. That's probably the same campsite that I found over on, yeah, it looks like it. So here's some more pictures. I'm going to open up those photographs in a new tab. And here's some more pictures that somebody else has loaded up. Of course, these were not included in the freecampsites.net website. So looks like somebody likes to do a little bit of off-road biking. But I will continue to do this on both Campendium and freecampsites.net and come up with secondary locations to put in here. So I will put down this as my primary, and then I will start adding some secondary in case where I want to go is not available. And again, I will put down campgrounds, local services that I might need. I'd rather have that information and never need it than need it and then be in the backcountry. And that's something else that one of these puts down. Yeah, if you don't have a real 4x4, forget it. The road is rough. Camp among the red rock spires away from the crowd. The one thing I do is if I stay in one of these places, I try to take actual documentary photographs to show you. I mean, if I stayed there, I would actually take photographs of the road to post so people have a really good idea of what they're going to get into if they try to do this. There we go right there. This is the reason I do this research at home. No cellular signal at the campsites. And this is why I do this prior to my leaving the house. I don't want to get to a campsite and then can't research my site for the next night because I don't have a cell signal. I can't do it. This is why I do it before I leave the house. And I always research more than one campsite. I'll back up here and say, what else is there? Well, here's the free campsite. I'll research this one and see what it's like. I'll come back and research this campsite and see what it's like. And I will record all these. I will record the name, the GPS, the phone numbers. Look at the photographs and see what they're like. That's a nice photograph. It gives you a good idea of where you're camping and what it's like. And I will have 2 or 3 different secondary sites. I will also have hotels. I will have paid campgrounds. So when I get into an area and the area that or the place I want to stay at is not available, it's inaccessible or it's filled, whether there's a flood or a wildfire or whatever reason that I can't stay there, I will have several other options available. I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it and put it down there, and I'll just, and I will put secondary sites. Then what I will do is I will print that sheet off. And again, everything's on a GPS coordinates, so I don't have to punch in addresses and worry about whether there's an actual address. It's all GPS coordinates, and the GPS should be able to find it. So anyway, that is how I research my campsites on where I'm going to stay for a trip. Okay, now once I've got all my research done, I go ahead and print this. I'll save that file that I've created on my notepad. I actually convert it over into a Word document and then eventually convert it over into a PDF, put it on my laptop, put it on my phone, and more importantly, I will make a printed copy. This has all the information that I've researched in black and white. Everything that I've looked up, all the campsites, all the mileages, all the GPS coordinates, and even if there are maps available for the various things, I will print off the maps to give, this way if I get into a campsite, I can sit there and say, okay, I'm here. This is a little bit more detailed than what you're going to find anywhere else in some cases. So that's why I do all this research. So when I go out into the field, I don't have to rely on technology to make my next step. I've got the information I need right here. And again, if I'm going to be in an area just overnight, I'll just put down 2 or 3 campsites to possibly stay at, and I'll move on. But if I'm going to stay in one place for any length of time, 2 or 3 days, I'm going to research grocery stores, gas stations, medical facilities. Is there a hospital or a emergency clinic? Maybe I cut myself seriously enough that I don't need an ambulance, but I still need to go in and get some stitches. I'm going to want to have medical care. So I'm going to know where that is, and I don't want to have to take the time to look it up on my phone because where I'm at, there may not be any phone cell signal. So by having all this information printed out, ready to go, and I just put this into a small binder, keep it in my vehicle, and as I travel through each page, I'll eventually take them out and put them in the back so I have more current information towards the front. So if I have, let's say, a flat tire, let's say I've got a slow leak, I can go right to here and say, well, there's a tire shop 18 miles down the road this way, and I've got their phone number. I can call up, ask them if they're open. Or let's say I need to go resupply. I need to go hit a grocery store. Here's a grocery store that's 14 miles this direction. And I can punch that into my GPS and it'll take me right to it. Now, some people say this kind of takes the spontaneity out of it. Well, to me, it takes the uncertainty out of it. I don't plan on having flat tires. I don't plan on cutting myself. I don't plan on having to go into a store to resupply, but you never know. And having as much information as you possibly can before you even walk out the door is a big plus. So I hope you've learned a couple things. And one more thing about the GPS. I always use everything as GPS coordinates. Even if a grocery store has a street address, I use GPS coordinates because those never change. GPS coordinates sometimes will put you a block or 2 or 3 or even a half a mile or even miles out of your way. It may be on the website as Main Street. You punch in Main Street on your GPS and it doesn't realize that there's a North Main and a South Main. So that may put you in the completely wrong side of town, but by having GPS coordinates, there is no street address. So that's why I always use GPS coordinates. So hopefully this information has helped you in learning how to plan your trips a little bit better and make it more enjoyable. And again, avoid having to use some of this information by being able to just have access to this information. So this is Backpack Hack coming at you with this trail tip. Be safe out there, and I'll see you somewhere out on the trail.